Hi there guys, Tom Quayle here. Hope everybody's doing extremely well out there as ever. Today I am back checking out a fantastic new product from the guys at Tascam. I'm a big fan of this company. I use their Series 208 mobile audio interface for all of my mobile video sessions that I do at any location except here, and one of their handheld recorders for backup audio for those sessions, and they've always performed wonderfully. So they recently said to me, would you like to check out our brand new Portacapture X8 device? This is their new flagship audio recorder, or portable audio recorder I should say. Now, full disclosure before we get going, Tascam are paying me for this video. It's more of a demo than a review, so take it as such. I want to show you all of the features. But of course, Tascam are not checking this beforehand to see that I'm saying all the right things. They're not going to sort of vet the video at all. And as usual, I will never ever put any products on my YouTube channel for demo purposes or review purposes that I don't think are well worth your time and money and mine as well. So these are all products that I would want to use in my own workflow. So as you'd expect with a flagship Tascam product, you've got really high specs throughout here. And this starts with 8 channels of audio recording at full 32-bit floating point resolution and up to 192 kilohertz recording. Now that 32-bit floating point is really, really important because if you set your levels wrong, you don't lose any signal to noise ratio. If you then later boost or cut those levels, you still retain the same level of audio recording. And that means that in a mobile situation, maybe you're rushed and you're kind of trying to get the best recording possible, you don't need to worry so much about getting your levels set perfectly. A really, really nice feature that this recorder really, really benefits from. You've also got 4 Combi XLR TRS jacks on here, really high quality with the locking mechanisms on as well. Those all supply phantom power, which can be switched on or off individually, which is really, really useful. So if you do want to record a ribbon mic, let's say, that doesn't want phantom power and a condenser mic at the same time, you can do that and switch the phantom power on either at 24 or 48 volts individually per channel, which is really nice. Then on the top here, you will see these 2 really high quality condenser mics that they've added in. Now these are the biggest condenser mics in terms of their diaphragm that Tascam have produced for any of their portable audio recorders, and they really sound wonderful. They can be screwed on or off here very, very easily and allow you to do an XY configuration, so they just pop out like that, dead easy. You can do an XY configuration, which is what I've got here at the moment, or you can do an AB configuration where they point in opposite directions for doing really wide stereo recordings, getting the width of a room. Or say, for instance, if you're doing some Foley work and you want to do nature sounds or whatever, you get a much wider, realistic stereo field from your recordings. As you can see, Tascam have also integrated a 3.5-inch full-color, high-resolution touchscreen on here for all of the features. And you've got a really intuitive interface here, which is based around various different apps. So they've taken like a mobile phone-style app-based approach. This allows you to either go into a full manual mode where you've got full control over every single feature that the device will actually allow you to. So like the preamp gain, for example, you've got limiters, compressors, you've got reverbs built in, EQ, which by the way is a fully parametric EQ on 2 mid bands, which is absolutely fantastic. So all of that control is available if you want to. But if you're somebody that's maybe under time pressure, or if you're somebody who wants to get things done as easily as possible and not worry about settings, there's various different apps on here that optimize the whole device for particular recording processes. So for example, we have a podcast mode on here, and it's as simple as just scrolling across to a particular mode that you want. So for here, on here example, the podcast mode is just there. Select that podcast mode. That will take you into a particular interface, the visual interface or the GUI, which is set up for recording that particular type of audio. So in this case, for the podcast mode, we're set up for the condenser mics on the front, and then maybe a couple of other inputs on here, and you can select those individually if you want to record some dynamic mics or condenser mics. And wonderfully, there is more than enough gain on here to record even the most sensitive, gain-hungry mics like the SM7B, for instance, which is really popular as a podcasting mic, or any ribbon mics that might require more gain. Now, in this podcasting mode, you've got a couple of buttons here that will provide sound effects for maybe an intro, piece of music on there, or maybe just another sound effect you might want to use within your podcast. So the whole production can be done from the X8, and you can even mix that down afterwards to a stereo file once you've done your EQ, once you've done anything else that you might want to do. You can even punch in later on if you want to as well, and it's really, really intuitive and simple to use. At any point, you can back out to the menu again, to the launcher, come in and select any other of the actual kind of apps that are built into here. So we've got a setting for recording music, for recording instruments. I'll share that later when we record guitar. We've got a voice optimized mode on here as well. One for recording ASMR, if you're into that. It's not something I've ever done, but you might be into that. You've got lots and lots of functionality on here. Really, really intuitive to use. You can see it's super responsive. For any musicians out there, of course, anybody watching this channel, you're probably a guitar player, or you're at least a musician of some description. There is even a metronome and a tuner built in there as well. So you've got this, as a nice practice tool. So there's a ton of functionality built in there to enable you to very, very easily get the best out of your recordings without having to faff around with a whole bunch of different settings. So Tascam have incorporated a whole bunch of really useful I/O on here as well. So you've obviously got your 4 combi jacks on here that you can see on the sides, very high quality. But you also, just here, have camera inputs and outputs. So a lot of people, including maybe you if you're watching this channel, are into doing YouTube videos, and this is something that guitar players really should get into these days, because it's a great way of promoting your own music. What you can do here is you can hook this up to your camera for either monitoring the audio from your camera, or you can send all of the audio mixed down from this device from any of the inputs to the camera for recording that audio directly to your camera. That means you don't need to do any synchronization in post, which is absolutely wonderful. Now, for anybody who does want to do synchronization and record the audio separately, you do have a standard tripod mount on the back. You do have a cold shoe mount on here as well. And that means that you can record the audio from the top of your camera. So if I'm speaking to the camera now, you can see here that I'm actually recording the audio straight to the Tascam, and that's then able to synchronize in post, and you can even set slate markers. So you can do audio slate markers on the device and send those through to your camera audio using the audio output here that will link up to your camera. It makes life very, very straightforward. If you want to manually sync those afterwards, just sync up those slate points. So for any video production guys out there, this is an amazing tool for recording all your audio, doing the mix down, adding effects, reverbs, compressors, so on and so forth. Now, because it records to a micro SD card here, of course, if you did later down the line want to take that audio and mix it in a DAW, you can absolutely do that. And as with all of these devices, the Portacapture X8 will give you individual audio files that you can then mix down later in your DAW. It's super easy to transfer those across. It's such an easy process. And you can even control the device via Bluetooth as well. So I've got the Bluetooth dongle attached just here. Plug that in there, and you've got a remote control that you can use with your phone, Android devices, iOS devices. You can control any of the aspects of the unit that you want to from the actual phone, and the app interface looks the same as it does on the device. And this means, for instance, if you're recording sound effects, you can position the X8 wherever you need it to be and then move out the way and start the audio recording that way. Or if you want to record a band, let's say, you could have it positioned and you don't need to be anywhere near it to touch the button to actually record. You can actually just go and do that very, very easily from somewhere else in the venue. There's so many uses for that Bluetooth functionality, so that's really, really nice. Tascam have also included a high quality headphone output on here as well with its own dedicated volume control. And of course, there's a loudspeaker built in here as well. So if you do need to check your audio on the fly really quickly and you don't have access to headphones, that does give you a way of making sure that the audio is recorded properly without any issues. Now, finally, the USB-C socket on here allows you not only to power the device via USB-C, either via bus power or via a USB charger, it also allows the unit to function as an 8-in, 2-out high quality audio interface. Now that alone, considering the size of this unit, in my opinion, would make it worth the cost of entry, considering how much some of these audio interfaces with this much I/O cost on the market and the size of this. But when you combine that with the rest of the functionality and the fact that this is a very high quality portable audio recorder with a bunch of inbuilt effects, you know, your EQs, reverbs, compressor, limiter, and a built-in mixer as well for doing stereo bounces, it really does start to become very, very impressive. So you could use this as your audio interface when you're at home or in your studio. Then when you need to go mobile and record elsewhere, or just for recording sound effects, doing vlogs out in the wild, it's absolutely amazing for that. Mount it on top of your camera and go. As I say, it only weighs 500 grams, so it's really, really straightforward, light, simple to use. For you guitar players out there or any other musicians that want to use the X8, it has an auto record feature as well. So as soon as it hits the first transient of your playing, it will start recording. Of course, this means that you can set it up somewhere in the room and you don't need to press go to start recording. It's a really, really nice and intuitive, very, very useful feature for any musician. So with all of that said, let's now check out how this unit sounds. So I'm going to let you hear the condenser microphones both in AB and XY configuration. I'm going to record my voice using the onboard mics, an acoustic guitar using the onboard mics. Then I'm going to plug in a high quality condenser mic of mine into one of the preamps and let you hear that as well, synchronized with the video. This is a recording of me talking into the inbuilt condenser mics in their XY configuration on the Tascam Portacapture X8. I'm currently using the inbuilt voice recorder app on the unit, recording at 48 kHz at a resolution of 32-bit floating point. This is me talking into the inbuilt condenser mics of the Portacapture X8 from around 2 feet away, so you can hear how it sounds in the room. Again, this is at 48 kHz, 32-bit floating point resolution using the inbuilt voice recorder app. So now you're going to be hearing some acoustic guitar through the inbuilt condenser mics on the X8, and in this case I'm using the inbuilt music app, which is set to the acoustic guitar preset. Now in this case this is giving me a nice EQ curve here, just shaping the EQ a little bit. It's also adding a compressor and also a noise gate, and then halfway through I'm going to switch on the device here. You'll see me switch on a reverb as well, so let's have a listen to how it sounds. Okay, so here's the same thing now, but this time, instead of the mics being in their XY configuration crossed over, now they're in their AB configuration for a wider stereo field. And again, in this case, I've got the reverb switched on, as you can hear now, nice sounding reverb. So let's check that out. So there we go, guys. That is the Portacapture X8 from the guys at Tascam. I think this is a really, really good option, a high-end option for anyone out there who wants to have a great sounding audio interface and mobile audio capture device that they can just sling in their gig bag if you're a guitar player, or in your camera bag if you're producing videos like this. And if you are getting started in doing podcasts, or if you're getting started in doing any kind of YouTube content or content creation, which I think all guitar players and musicians should be doing these days, this is a fantastic way of getting into that and having a really high quality solution that doubles up not only as a portable recorder, but also as a very high quality audio interface with a really nice intuitive menu system and graphical user interface. So yeah, very impressed indeed. If you want to check this out further, of course, as usual, you will find a link in the description below. Check that out. That will take you over to Tascam's website where you can see the full details and specs of this product. If you enjoyed the video, and I hope you did, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons below. And if you want to support my work on this YouTube channel, find out down below all of the lesson content that I produce from my website. You can click on those if you want to learn legato, learn improvisation, learn music theory. All of those options are available down below for you guys to check out. Okay guys, thanks for watching as ever. I really appreciate it. My name's Tom Quayle and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.